Okay, well, we're going to get started with this training. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up a poll real quick. And I just launched a poll basically asking you, hey, are you here just for Adobe Sign electronic signature training, or are you here for the whole thing? So if you're here just for the electronic signatures, mark that down so I can kind of tailor this training to what you guys actually need and want. Okay, it's everybody that's in here. So I'm going to end the polling for now. And we have a couple people. I'm sharing the results. See if I can put it over here. We have a couple people that want the whole thing. So that's not a problem. I'm going to go over everything. But since most people are here just for the sign portion of it, I'm going to run through that first. And then I'm going to back up and actually go through the Adobe Acrobat DC portion of it, how to edit files, how to do fill and sign, how to make a form, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get to that as soon as we can. So let me drop that off of here and welcome. I'm Roger Jacobson, and I'm the manager of the Learning Innovation Specialist here at the Muskogee County School District. And I'm happy to see that you're here today. We're going to, like I said, cover the Adobe Sign portion of this first. Somebody just came in, so I'm going to put that link back in the chat. If you want to join this class, you're welcome to join this Adobe Acrobat class. It will give you resources after we're done today so that you can go back if you forget anything. Okay, so that's on that. All right, so I'm going to jump down to sending files to be signed by someone electronically. And how do you sign by just one person? Okay, that's going to be your start of this whole thing. And you can send any file, and as long as there is a place to put a signature on it, and you can send it and then track those signatures back until they come back to you from the Adobe Sign interface, which I will show you. So if I'm in Adobe Acrobat DC, and to get to Adobe Acrobat DC, of course, you open up, you're not in Reader, you're in the actual Adobe Acrobat DC interface. So when I click on this, it brings you into your home for Adobe. I'm going to click over on these two things up here at the top. I'm going to click into Tools. If I go into Tools, I can see all these tools in here. If you don't see all these tools in here and you see like trial version, or it's asking you to pay for something, you're not signed in. Okay, this is probably where my cursor is in the upper right corner, is probably underneath all the people. So you might want to move that for just a second. But if you click on the blue pie up in the upper right corner, you should see you logged in as E0 at muskogee.k12.ga.us. If you're logged in as that, you're logged in as a Muskogee County employee. And as long as you have a license, you have access to all of this. Okay, so moving on. If I'm going to have a form that I want to get signed, if you look down here under Forms and Signatures, the one that you want to use, if you already have it, if it's either in Microsoft Word or it's a PDF, either one, you just click Request Signatures, because if it is in Microsoft Word, it's going to turn it into a PDF form before we move on. So I'm going to select my file, and I have a file already here. So I'm going to click on Example for more than one person to sign. That's the PDF form that I'm going to use. And you'll notice that on here, let me reduce the size of this thing here real quick. Oh, not yet. It's starting to look at, or it's starting to look at already. All right. So once I said I wanted to have this form signed and I brought up the format, it's already launching Adobe Sign for me. And what this does is I need to figure out who am I going to send this to. If it's in our district and you start typing in a name or an E0 number, it's automatically going to come up. Like my wife, Angie Jacobson, I'm going to send it to myself so you can see. I'm going to bring up my email so you can see what it looks like on the signing side too. So I'm going to say my personal account. I've done it before, so it's in here, but Muskogee County, it will actually come up because they're in our database. And I'm only going to have one person sign this, but I'm going to show you where you can do more than one person on a form. So if you have, like, let's say I'm doing a fat form and I need 3 people to sign it, I can have 3 separate people sign that same form by putting all 3 people in here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to specify, the next step is to specify where to sign. So all I've done so far for those people that, oops, let me bring in Dominique. All I've done so far for those people that are like, whoa, you're going too fast. I opened up Adobe, I clicked request signature, I selected the file, and I typed in an email address. That's all I've done. Now I'm going to tell Adobe, hey, this is where I want to sign this format. So if I specify where to sign, you'll notice that it is going to upload this file to Adobe Sign. That's the online version. And it brings up this information over on the right-hand side. Please, if the people box on Zoom is in the way, grab the top and drag it off so that you can see what I'm doing. You can drag it off to the left-hand side of the screen. I'll give you a second to do that. All right. So over here on the right-hand side, you have this stuff right here. And I'm sending it to rogers.jacobson@gmail.com. And it shows that they're right here. There's a couple different boxes down here that you can use. There's signature fields and signer information. What we have on every form that we use is I want to know your name and I want your signature. So if I go in here and go, oh, signer name, find the name box, pull it out, it will automatically put that person's name in this box. Okay. And then under signature field, I want them to electronically sign this form. Once I have these 2 pieces in here, all I want to do is click send, and it will send that to the person that you need to have signed. That's the manual way of doing this. Okay. I'm going to show you a template in just a second. If you send the same form over and over and over again, you can set up a template with that form, and then you don't have to do that every time. You can just select the participants, select the template, and let it go. Okay, so that's the other way of doing this on an easier basis, so you can set up your templates. Okay, so I'm going to close this. It's back here. So let me get out of this and go to my email. Then I'll come back to Adobe Sign. If I go to my personal email, you'll notice that I have a signature that's waiting for request, waiting for signature. So if I click on this, it's going to ask me to review and sign this document. I can click on review and sign. And I don't have to have anything special. I have to have the normal Adobe Reader or the Reader function in Chrome to do this. I could also do it on my phone. But you'll notice down here, it wants you to click and sign. So I'm going to type my signature right here. Okay. If I'm going to type my signature, I could do it this way, and it will do it in font. I can also draw. I can also get an image if I have my signature signed and I took a picture of it, or I can do it on my mobile phone. If I do it on my mobile phone, I can click here. It will send me a text message. I write it on my cell phone, my smartphone, and it will send it back here. It'll send a picture of it to actually put it in here. So there's a lot of different ways that it can be signed by the participant, by the person that's actually doing it. All right, and apply that signature here. Okay, once it's there, I can click to sign it so I can review this document. Once I've reviewed the document, I click to sign, and it will actually send it back to me. Now, what does that look like on the user side? If I come back to here, oh, joy, it kicked me out. I was sitting too long, waiting for the class to start. In Adobe Sign online, I can manage my account. This tells me that it's either out for signature or it's completed. This is the one that I just did. If I'm completing, I can open the form, and me, as a person that sent this out, I can see the form. I can see that it was signed. Once it comes up, I can see that it was signed, the date, the time, and everything else that it was sent and signed by the person that was in there. So it gives a good tracking for all of my messages that go out and need electronic signatures. Okay, you'll notice here on the manage portion of this that this is the second one that I did. And if they have not signed it yet, it will tell you that it's out for signature. If you have like a bunch of emails or a bunch of forms that have gone out and have been completed, the search box on the right-hand side, I can search for anyone in here. So if I'm searching for something from Angie Jacobson, I need to filter it. Oh, it's the dates. Sorry. I can filter it by dates, of course, and I should be able to search by person, but why did it not? Oh, well, why did it not give me that? There it is. You can search by last names, and it'll give everybody the last names that you did it. So you can search by person, you can search by search results, or everybody that's in here. And you can also do it by dates. If I sent something out in the last, week, the last 7 days, I can filter it by the last 7 days. Okay, so any of these things can be done. Now, I will have to tell you, to get to Adobe Sign, the easiest way to get to Adobe Sign online is to actually type in Google Adobe Sign login, and then log yourself in. And first thing is well, how do I log in? What's my login? It's your e0@muskogee.k12.ga.us. And do not type in your password. Just click into the password box and sit there for about 5 seconds. It will actually do its automatic process at that point and take you to our federated login for work that will send you through the authentication process. So you don't have to do anything else. You just type in on the login. All you do is type in. Mine went automatically in because I've been in all day. But if you haven't been in all day, it will actually take you through that process of typing in your name and your password, and it will let you into this interface of Adobe Sign. Okay. All right. So let me go back real quick to the class itself and go back to modules. And you'll notice that when you're I'm going to go over these steps just one at a time real quick so that you can see what all these steps are. And hopefully you notice that it's not real complicated to do this. There's just some steps you're going to have to practice. One, how do I send it? How do you send one file? All I do is I log into or get into Adobe Acrobat DC, open it up, go to your tools file, your tools area. Once you've gone to your tools area, you're going to request signatures. Sorry. Once you select your file, I select the file that I want to use to have signatures on. And this time I'm going to do 2 people. So if I click open on my file, all I have to do now is wait for a second, and it's going to, it knows that I want to sign this file. So it's going to log me in to the Adobe Sign interface. It's going to ask me, who do I want to sign this form? So again, I'm going to send it to that address, and I'll do this address. 2 separate people, both me, but 2 separate people. Then I specify where to sign. All I'm doing is following the steps, just following the steps as it goes. It uploads to Adobe Sign, getting ready to send it. I need to have 2 different people sign this form, like a fat form. So I go over here. The first person is Roger C. Jacobson. So I want to go to the signer field, find the name box, drag it over. Find the signature field, drag it over. Done with that person. So now I'm going to say, oh, the other person I want to sign, you'll notice that the boxes down here in the center are now gray because I'm not working on that person anymore. This is the second person that needs to sign this form. So I'm going to send this to person number 2. Signature field for the second person. And send the form. We did it last time with just 1 person. Now it sent it to 2 people. Okay. So it's working through the process. It's sending it to 2 people. And you'll notice that if I go back to here and go back to Adobe Sign and manage, you'll notice that the recipients, there's 0 out of 2 that have signed it. It will track if I have 5 people signing this form, there will be 0 for, or 1 out of 2, 1 out of 5. However many people need to sign this form, it will be on there. Okay. All right. So we're on here. It's out for signature. Once it's done, it will have both their signatures, and the person that the people that have to sign it will get a final copy of it with both signatures. So if you have 1 person signing it, they'll get the one with 1 signature. If they've got multiple people signing it, they'll get the multiple people with the signatures on it. Okay. All right. So that is just how to sign and send one form. Hopefully everybody got that one thing. Please repeat the easiest sign in. Okay. The easiest sign in to manage, or the easiest sign in to make the form? That's 2 separate things. Whoever E033248 is, just unmute yourself and clarify. Not clarifying? Okay. All right, so I'm going to continue on. Hopefully you got that answered as I was talking through this.
Can I ask a question, Roger?
Yep, please do.
All right, so in our department, we started using DocuSign for like contracts and some other things. There's a lot of similarities right here.
Absolutely.
So
they're competing products.
I guess my biggest question is, I see we can do the multiple signers and that's great. Is there a way to add additional people as, let's say once the document's fully executed and it's in
Yes.
that Adobe sign, is there a way to set it up to when it's that final person signs, copies automatically go to anybody?
Yes, that's a CC function. I didn't show that box, but on that same box, when you go to, hang on, go back to tools, request signature, and when it comes up, come on, you can do it. There's a CC box below it. The CC box, when you get, on this one, more options. There's this, at least that's what it said on the earlier thing. I haven't filled this portion out, but they said that there's a CC box that you actually can utilize, that actually sends it to, not, there it is, show CC. The CC box, they're not signing it, but they get a copy of it after the signatures have been done.
Sweet.
So all you have to do is go to that more and click on CC and enter the CC here, enter the recipients that are signing it. And that, like, let's say property needs to get a copy of the FAT form, but they're not signing it. You can do the people that sign the FAT form and CC property, and they would get an automatic copy of it without having to sign it. They would just see the signatures on the form.
Okay. When you started, you said Word and PDF.
Sure.
Is there a capability to do, like, for instance, we do payroll sheets. Some of them are an Excel version. Would we have to convert that to PDF, or it could be?
No, it has to be. It will. Adobe Acrobat will convert it to PDF for you.
Right.
Then you can have it signed.
Gotcha.
It can't sign it in its native format, because any native format can be changed. Once a signature is on one of these documents, it locks the document. So it can't do that if it's in any other format. So for security reasons, they have to turn it into a PDF before it's sent out to be signed.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay. All right. Any other questions just on the portion of the sending it out for a signature? I know there's a few people in here who are just in here just to start learning about it, and I'll go back through that in just a little bit. But I wanted to get the sending portion out to begin with. The only other thing that I wanted to cover before people start to jump that have experience with this, if you go on to the Adobe,
Roger.
Yeah, go ahead. Who is this?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
This is James.
Yeah.
I noticed that there was a selection box on that previous screen that said something about any order. So if that's not checked, then I'm assuming that they have to sign it in the order in which you're putting them on there,
Yes.
the recipients.
Yeah, normally,
So like, so the second recipient would not be able to sign it until after the first person signed it.
yes, unless you said complete in any order.
Gotcha.
Because there's certain ones that you want to have, like, let's say I'm not doing a property document. Maybe I'm doing something that requires approval, and I need my supervisor's approval before it gets sent to the boss. So I'm not going to send it to both of them. I'm just going to send it in order so that my boss has to sign it first, or he could deny it. If he approves it, then it goes for my boss for signature. Does it make sense? Okay. You can either send it, that's how the default is a hierarchy for business. But if you use the slide button here, it will be in any order. It'll just send it out, and as they sign it, it'll come through. Good question, though.
Will it, as people sign it, will it send notifications to the originator that so-and-so signed?
Yes. When you are in here and the manage, you'll notice that it'll tell me how many people have completed it. And when I click on it, once they start signing it, it will say who has signed it and who hasn't.
But it won't send me an email notification as they sign?
No, or it'll fill up your email. You got to go here to
Gotcha.
manage it.
Okay.
Any other questions on this portion of it? Since once the Adobe form is approved, once I receive it, will I be able to convert it to an Excel spreadsheet? Negative. Remember, once it's signed, this form is now locked. Now, could you make a new form? Sure. But because of security and because of rights, they're not going to allow you to change that document because it's been signed by someone. The signature is what locks those documents down to where they're not going to be, you're going to have to make a new document basically, because that document is now an official signed document. Okay.
Can you set up, when you're sending out to different people, can you set up automatic reminders if they don't sign?
There is a remind right there.
You can force that, but there's not an automatic one.
No, there's not an automatic one, not that I know of. Maybe there is, I can research it, but not that I know of. So I'll quantify that because I didn't learn about that. All right. Any other good questions? And like I said, for those of you that have this course modules that I actually sent out and put in the chat, anybody who came in late, I'll put it in the chat again later on. But this has everything that we're talking about right now. And there's even, if you look down here, there's even videos on everything I just said. Okay, so it has videos for how to fill, how to do a document, how to do tracking, and how to make and manage your templates. Okay. The last portion I wanted to cover before we go is this right here. On the home page in Adobe Sign, there is a create a reusable template. What you saw me do wasn't that difficult. We just dragged the signature and dragged the name in there. But if I'm doing 40 of those, you know how tiring that'll be? So instead of doing 40 of those, I can make a template of the document I'm using. So all I have to do is put in the recipient, bring up the template, put in the recipient, send it. And it will actually know that the recipient one is who I put it in there for, then go and go and go. So if I have 3 people that have to sign a document, I put in recipient 1, 2, and 3, it will actually slide them in there for me. I don't have to do anything else. So when you click on create a reusable document, it's going to go through that same process of what file am I using? Where do you want the signatures to go? Except instead of asking you for an email address right now, all it's going to ask you for is, signature 1, signer 2, signer 3. So it's just asking you where you're going to put this stuff on the document. That's where a template comes in and will make, if you're doing this a lot, it will make your life a lot simpler because you don't have to put those boxes in there every single time. And you can share your templates with whoever you want. So when you create this, it's going to ask you, do you want this to be yours? Do you want it to be inside of your group? Like all of you pretty much are in the MPEC group, okay, in Adobe, or you can do it to the whole organization, all of MCSD. If you want to be in a subgroup, like you want a private group, I only want people from finance to see this. I can create a finance group. The admins can. I'm the admin for Adobe. So if you need a separate group just for your people, so you can share your templates just with your people, I can create a group. You just got to tell me who's in it, and then I can shove them in that group, and that's not a problem either. So, but that's just a way to make your workflow go a little bit easier and a little bit smoother if you plan on using this. Okay. All right. We've been at it for 30 minutes. So I want to just see if anybody has any other questions at this before I move back into the beginning on what Adobe is and how to use it and all that kind of stuff. All right. Well, for those people that were here just for the signing portion, if you try it a few times, send something to your own or your coworker's address so you can kind of get used to how it's working. Because until you play with it, you're not really going to learn it very well. So play with it for a little bit, see what it looks like, and then if you have any questions, get a hold of me. Send me an email or give me a call, and I'll walk you through it if you run into a stumbling block. So this is not, a one and done. I'll be here to support you. This is just an introduction to it, explaining what it is so that you can start making electronic signatures part of your workflow so you can go a little bit more paperless and track those documents for yourself. All right. Okay, so for everybody else, let's go back to the very beginning of this wonderful thing, and we're going to start hitting what Adobe is. And what Adobe Acrobat is a program that allows you to create documents that you don't have to let people modify. All right, there are lots of things on the market that will take a PDF and they can change it. You can lock these things down if you want to. That doesn't allow them to export it to a Word document. If you have something sensitive that you don't want to be changed, you can make sure that you go to protection, lock it, and it's almost like it's a picture. They could take a picture of it. They could send it through an OCR or ocular recognition, but they're not going to just export it to a Word document or something else if need be. But that's what Word is. I have up in here a bunch of tutorials on what we're talking about from Adobe, so that if you have some time that you can actually spend, these are short little tutorials that I want to learn about editing or I want to learn about something else, and it allows you to actually go through that. Creating a PDF from another file type. I'm actually going to do this right this second and go back to my tools. If I need to create a PDF, I could create it with, let's say I'm making a pamphlet for the special needs department, and we have a PowerPoint, we have some Word documents, we have an Excel spreadsheet with a graph on it that shows, things that are happening around our district. I've got several different things I want to use. I can actually combine files. Yes. Sorry, I got to get out of this Adobe sign thing. Get out. Thank you. All right. So you'll see this is very similar to everything you have. Is I can add files. I can add lots of different types of files if I want to, just by, like, this is the Chromebook file that we were using, that permissions file. Let's go to downloads. I can use a PDF. And let's see here, what else do I want? Open that one up. Add files. Cool. And you'll notice something pretty cool is once it's got these files added, it takes a second. It has to upload them or has to load them up. Once I get them, I can put them on here. And let me see if there's any other file format type. I'll do a PDF too. Oh, the branding standards. All right. So you'll see I have a PowerPoint, I have a Chromebook, agreement form, and I have this branding standards. Not only do I can just upload them, I don't have to worry about uploading them in order because I can just grab them and move them. You can move them and put them in any order that you want. You can actually, once you have them in here, I'm going to combine these files. It will actually combine the files and make these files into PDFs and make them all into one document for me once it decides to do everything it's got to do. You'll notice that there's a bar at the very bottom of the screen, and it actually tells you how long this is taking and what they're doing. So Okay. Now that I have this whole thing, you'll notice that we have all of these things and it's binder one, but I have all of these things in one PDF now. If I go down here on the right-hand side, where's my organize pages button? You'll notice that even on here, I can take this and maybe I want this to be number one. Maybe I want this to be, I want to talk about the Chromebook form second. I can organize my PDF in any way, shape, or form I want to. And once I'm done, I can save that PDF. And remember, this is a Word document, this is a PowerPoint, and this is a PDF when I started. But now I can save this as, let me do it in my downloads. I'll name it delete this later. .pdf. So I have now just created a PDF out of 3 different documents. All right. So it's a really great program to allow you to organize, modify, and change PDFs. Even in a PDF format, though, if I wanted to change something in my document, if I click on a page, if I go up here to edit PDF, these are some of the tools that you have available to you inside of a PDF. Most of you have worked with Word before. If you've worked with Word or any type of a word processor, then you can actually work inside of Adobe Creative Cloud, Adobe Acrobat, because once I click on edit, it reads the document and makes it editable. So let's say I need to update this for next year, and no longer is the Muskogee County District a pathway to success. Maybe it's, you know, my mission, vision, and values are in here. I can change the PDF on the fly. I can add pictures. I can add hyperlinks. I can do whatever I need to do to these files. Now, be careful when you crop a page, because if you crop a page, it's going to make one page big, one page small, the next page big. So it just doesn't crop an area, you're cropping the entire page. So be careful when you use the crop tool, okay? But you can add header footers, you can add watermarks. Like let's say I'm working on this, I could add a watermark that says draft, okay? So everything on here is a draft format, okay? I will have to save, I'm gonna cancel it for now, but it would say draft on there, or working copy, or whatever I wanted to type in there on the background. So I can make that into a watermark. Highlighting, I can do my own signature blocks or sign documents for those of you that have Adobe Acrobat. Most people do not have this, so they just can't sign. You have to actually send them for signatures, like we learned just a little bit ago. But you can add text boxes anywhere you want on the page and just start typing, and then change the font and the color and how it's aligned, just like in a Word document, on the right-hand side. Make your boxes as big or small as you want, delete what you want. You're in a word processor. So basically, this allows you to change anything that you want. Could you create something from scratch in Adobe? Sure, I wouldn't. It's too difficult. I would rather create something in Word that I'm very comfortable with, and then change it into a PDF and then modify it when I need to. That's normally the way that most people use Adobe. And then once you have it in Adobe Acrobat, I would not export it back into a Word document unless you have to. I hear people say that all the time. Do you have a program that will export to Word? Well, that's not really the easiest thing to do. You can, but it'll mess with the actual formatting. So the easier function is to actually go up here and click on edit and actually edit the document as a PDF. Change what you want and then just resave it as a document, okay? I'm gonna save this. And I'm going to go over some of the tools that you can use. All right, so in just the last 7 minutes, I've just talked about opening up Adobe Acrobat DC, combining some files of different file types to make one PDF. I've actually gone into the edit function and changed those documents while they're in a PDF format, and then saved that PDF format. Okay, so let me talk about some tools, and then I'm going to get some questions, and then I'm going to go into a couple other things before my time hack comes up, because this is just a quick introduction to this. You have the create, which is the same as combine, but create is just one document. Combine uses multiple different file types. Okay, so that's the difference between those two. Organize means I can move my pages around. I can do different things with it, but I'm organizing my PDF document to do lots of different things. Edit reads the document and allows you to change things inside the PDF unless it's been signed. Remember, once a signature happens, that document is now going to be locked. Even if you open it up in this program, it's a locked document. Okay. You can export PDF. This is what some people like to do, is to export that PDF into a Word document, into a PowerPoint, into a Excel document. You can export it into lots of different formats. That's definitely something you can do. This is the secondary area. I can request signatures, but this is almost as powerful. Lots of people like to prepare fillable forms for people. Making a fillable form is really easy as long as you have it already created in Word. So if I create a document in Word and put spaces or put like underlines where I want people to fill something in as a document, I can click prepare form, and it will actually read the document and try to guess where all those blanks are, and it will add blocks for fill in. And then you can add other blocks if you don't get them in there. So if I click on prepare form, change file. Let's see if I have a form in here that I can do something with. Oh, no. I'll do table of contents just because. All right. So, come on. Once I select a file that I want to create into a fillable form, it's going to read the form, try to guess if there's any fillable. I didn't have any spaces on here, so it didn't find anything to actually fill in. So I'm going to have to add some wonderful boxes to fill in. If I add a text field right here, I can go down here and say, I just put in full name, class, program used, and I can come up here to the corner and preview this form. If I preview this form, this is what they're going to see now. I can come in here and start typing and doing whatever I want to do. That's what the form's going to look like when I send it to them. So, and then you can go back to the edit function. Okay, so you can make a fillable form relatively simple with this program. Now, here's what you need to tell people though, if they want to save a fillable document. Do not open it up in the browser. That's the biggest mistake people make. They open up the form, a fillable form will open up in Chrome or Firefox or any of these other browsers, but you can't save it from there. They really need to download the form and open it up in Adobe Reader. Then you can actually type, save it, do what you want to do. So if you're going to make a fillable form, just make sure that you tell them to download the form first and then open up the document in Adobe Reader. That way you can actually save the form, then they can send it back to you if you're just trying to get information. If you're not trying to get information and you're trying to make this into a fill and sign document, you can do this too. Once you get this, if you go back to tools, once you have that form made, you can do fill and sign, and they would have to fill the form out and then do a signature at the bottom, just like you did before, except they're actually adding in more information like a fat form. Maybe I want them to fill out all the fat form area at the top and then do the 3 signatures at the bottom before it gets sent back to me and sent back to property. Okay, so that's an example of what you could do with preparing a form or using fill and sign also. All right, so continuing on down here, there's not a whole lot down here further that you all will most likely use. You're getting into programming down here, unless you're a total, well, James Special might use it. All right, but the rest of us humans probably won't use this area down here. We're probably going to use up here is the important ones. I'm going to use a send for comments if I'm collaborating with somebody. You know how in Word you can actually put comments and it'll be off to the side. This is the same thing. I can actually put comments. I can send for comments. I can use stamps on here like approved, not approved. You know, it needs more whatever. I can redact. Maybe I have information and I'm trying to send it to somebody, but I need to pull out 4 or 5 sentences. I want you to see that they were there, but I don't want you to see any of the information. It will actually replace the text with black squares so that you won't be able to see what was redacted. You can pretend you're a CIA agent, you know, and be a redaction. All right. If you have too big of a PDF and you're trying to send it, maybe you put 100 pictures in there from your PDF and it's now too big to send by email. You can actually optimize your PDF and make the pictures seem not size-wise, they can make them smaller pixel-wise to make them take up less space and compress your PDF. Make it smaller in size so I can send it by email. Okay, that's another thing that you can do in here. The opposite is print production. You can actually set what you want for your colors and your color and your how high do you want the resolutions to be, or how much dots per inch, the DPI that you want this to be printed at if the printer can handle it, so you can get a better print production out of it. That's pretty much it. The last one that I'll talk about on here is your protection button. Remember I said earlier you can lock your PDFs. That's what this is. If I don't want anybody messing with this and I'm going to send somebody to some other district maybe, but it's our document and you can use it, but don't want you to change it, I can password protect it basically. And just like in Word, you can password protect that and then they can't make any changes to it. Same thing with the PDF, except the PDF standard's a little bit stronger than a Word document. Okay, so is it perfect? No, because I can still scan it, and there's other ways that we can get the form from you, but you won't be able to use that document, okay, for any changes. All right. Okay, so going back up here to the top, I'm going to recap these tools really quick. And that is, first, when I open up, I'm going to close this program. No. I'm going to open up my Adobe Acrobat, which you can find it here. Okay, this is your Adobe Acrobat DC. You can also find it, oh, you can't do it on here. If you look down at your computer and in the lower right corner, you have an up arrow for your task, basically on the right side of your taskbar. If you hit the up arrow, you can see all the programs that are running. There's a sideways 8 in that area that brings up Creative Cloud. This is also on your desktop. So there's multiple ways that you can get to this. These are all the programs that are installed in your computer. With this program, remember, you have access to all of these programs. Please do not fill up your hard drive. That's choose the programs that you want, because you can fill up your hard drive with all these. But you have access to 24 Adobe programs, from professional editing programs to audio programs to web design programs, Photoshop, Premiere, and Design, which is, for making all of your online magazine type things, Illustrator, as vector graphics. But anyway, there's a lot of things in here that you can actually utilize if you have the gumption to learn them. And you don't need me to learn them. Adobe has an Adobe Education Exchange that has everything on there. Most CTAE instructors know that they can go there and get lesson plans and everything else for all these programs, but they also have tutorials there for people like you and me that we may not use them all the time, but I need to figure out what I want to make, a picture do this. So that's in there for you. Under Adobe Acrobat DC, you can see I can click open. So if I want to open the program, I can click open the program, and I got to see what screen it's going to open on, but come on. Oh, it's on screen one. Let me drag it over here. Sorry. And now I've opened up this program again that we've had. And I'm going to go back to tools. So I've opened up my Adobe Acrobat DC program. Remember, I talked about earlier on that you have your pie over here on the right side. I can check to make sure that I'm logged in as me. So it doesn't ask me to buy anything, because you shouldn't have to buy anything for this. We pay for the whole suite. You have a create or a combine that allows you to take other file type program or other file type files and make them into a PDF. Once I've made things into a PDF, I can use organize to actually organize my files. Once I organize my files and put them in the right order, okay, then I can go to a PDF. And I'll say this on the making and organizing. I have this in my class, but I don't have time to go over it, is if you make a table of contents at the beginning, you can actually use that table of contents, make a hyperlink around your table of contents, and hyperlink your sections. So if I want to go to chapter 2, I can click on the first thing in my table of contents, and it will take me to page 3 for chapter 2. So you can actually hyperlink everything just like you can in Word or any of those other programs. You can hyperlink out to a website, or you can hyperlink inside your document. Okay, you can export, edit your documents. And this was the big one today, was request your signatures, fill in, sign, and prepare your form. I didn't cover prepare your form too much, just a quick little overview of it, but the request signature was the big one. Remember, once you click request signature, you select the file, the PDF file that you want to actually utilize as a signature base. And then it's going to ask you, who do I want to send it to? Fill that in. Then put your name and your signature where you want them to sign it, and then hit send. Once you've done that, you're going to go to the Adobe Sign login, go to the online login page so you can manage it, so you can see if it's been signed or not, see if it's been returned. I can download the files if I want to, or I can leave them in the cloud and actually search for them. So you have 2 different ways of organization. All that stuff is all built in and ready to be used on Adobe Sign. That's built into our product. You can lock your document, you can redact stuff from your document, and you can actually do comments and sharing. So that's the big ones. Also, optimize your PDF if it's too large and you have too many pictures in it. But those are the big concepts for basically utilizing and using the tools inside of the Adobe Acrobat DC program: editing, making forms, and sending for a signature. For our organization, those 3 are the big 3 that we use. Now, since we have about 6 minutes remaining in time, what are some questions that you have?